Hi guys! So we have a new stamp release from Blue Knight Rubber Stamps, and one of the stamps that we are featuring is the Honeybee and Sunflower stamp. As you can see here, very nice detail all the way to the wings and the bee, and this is a great summer/fall card. And I thought I really like the way this image looks, so I'm going to try to copy it, imitate it, case it, which is copy and share everything, by watercoloring it. So the first thing I have is the stamp is mounted. It is a red rubber stamp, and I have some watercolor paper. This is Arteza watercolor paper. I will link it for you. And I'm going to use my VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink, which is great for watercoloring. And I have my little handle from Blue Knight Rubber Stamps, which just makes it so much easier to ink it up without fiddling with the ink pad and being afraid that I'm going to drop it. And I have it on my stamp positioner, my Misty, because again, I'm stamping on watercolor paper, so I want to make sure that I get a good impression, and that might take a couple of inkings. Or a couple of more inkings. I do have off to the side a couple of water paintbrushes, a cup of water, some paper towel, and a scratch piece of watercolor paper to try out my colors. And I do have a couple of trays of the Arteza watercolors up in front of me here, which we will pull out in a second to figure out what colors we want to use. I probably should have checked, but I have a feeling I'm using the textured side and not the smooth side of the paper. And that's why it's taking a little longer here to ink this up, but we are almost done. I think that's close enough for us to work with, and I don't feel like inking it again. Let's move this off to the side. Okay, so I am going to give it a quick set with my heat tool. Okay. And I guess we can start getting some inks out. So we want a lighter green and a darker green. Okay, I'll do a couple here. I like the sage green, and I'm just going to put these on the ends of my mat. Actually, that is too pastel. Let's try this other one. Pear green. That's a little brighter. It's a yellowy green. And sap green. I think those will work out pretty well. And then for yellow, I have a little bit of Naples yellow, which is again a lighter yellow. gamboge, which I know is a little more golden yellow. Yep. And then we need a little bit of brown for the flower. So some latte brown. And a little burnt umber. I probably should have put these in a palette, but that's all right. And I think we need a little bit of blue. A little blue for the wings. There we go. Tiny, tiny bit of ice blue. And a little bit, whoop, too much, light green. So 3 different colors of green. Okay. And then I have my little cup of water, my paper towel, and I'm just using regular paint brushes today to color in. So I think I will start with the center of the flower so that can dry a little bit. And I'm just going to go in with a little bit of the, I think it was latte. I'm going to add a smidgen of the burnt umber into there. And I should probably moisten the area a little bit. And I do keep the card front out so I can reference back to that. Let me put that where you guys can see. There we go. We did lose a little bit of detail of the bumblebee. We'll have to put that back in. Basically at this point just outlining him and getting this first layer of color down. Oops. Alright, now I'm going to go in and moisten the outer leaves, which are a little bit larger. And I'm going to go in with a little bit of the sap green and the light green. And basically lay down that color in the middle of the leaf and just let it spread out. I'm following where the artist has, again, with these stamps, laid down where they feel there should be some shadows, and I just make those areas a little darker. Now I'm going in, the brush is pretty clean, I'm just adding some water where that color is and just pulling that color out. Okay, looks pretty good. All right, now for these tiny little leaves over here, I'm going to go in with this lighter green and just put those in. I'm going to go to a little bit smaller brush too. I was using a number 4, now I'm going to go to a number 2, which is a little bit smaller brush. There we go, it's a little more control. Okay, that looks pretty good. I'm going to stay with that same size brush, and I'm going to go in with a little bit of the lighter yellow and a tiny bit of the gamboge and make this medium color yellow, and I want to do my bumblebee with that. Okay, I'm going to go in a little more water with the gamboge and go on the inner part of the petals of the sunflower. Because we did the brown part first, it's pretty much dry, so I don't have to worry about that bleeding. So that's one thing I learned pretty early on about when you're watercoloring or painting. You don't want to do close areas next to each other. You want to give them a chance to dry if you are worried about those colors kind of bleeding into each other. So that's why I went from the middle to the outside, back into the middle here. Okay, so now same thing. I'm just going to add some more water, pick a little bit of the lighter yellow up, but now I really want my watercolor to be kind of loosey. I'm going to go back in and re-moisten these petals and pull that gamboge out so we get this kind of ombre look where it's darker in the middle, and as it comes out, we have a little more of that lighter yellow. Just want to be careful around the green because some of that is still wet. These watercolors are so easy to use and they're so creamy. So if you're like me and you like a little more control, you don't like loosey watercoloring, because I'm very much a control person, then you have a little bit more control with these watercolors because they are so thick and creamy. And again, the more water you add to them, the more translucent they become, the more watered down they are. And you can get your traditional watercolor look out of them. And this is pretty easy. It's a medium-sized image. It's not too large, so I don't feel intimidated by it. But it's not too small either where I think I lose some of the detail. I think it actually came out okay. All right, now I really want to make sure my brush is clean. I'm going to go in with a little bit of that ice blue. cover his wings. I'll probably go in with some shimmer and do his wings again. But I really want that watered down so that it's translucent so you can see the wings, and any mistakes I made with the brown paint will be covered up. All right, now we're not finished yet. I'm going to take my bigger brush, which is a size 6, and I'm going to very gently kind of wet the outer layer here. And I'm making it pretty wet. I want that background to be very, very wet. I'm leaving a space between the background and my stamped image because I don't want any of that water transferring onto my stamped image. I want to get pretty close to it, but I do not want any of that water on my stamped image. Okay, and now I have that pretty well saturated. I'm going to take a tiny bit of the green into that pale blue, make it a little bit more of a turquoisey blue, and I'm just going to very loosely put that down. So I'm filling in this background, a little bit of green, a little bit of blue. Because that was so wet, it's spreading very easily. It gives us this nice kind of refreshing background. It's not too blue, not too green. It's a light color. Okay, I think I'm done. Let me take the heat tool to this. Okay, so that is pretty much dry. I was looking for the black paint, so I want to go back in and add a little detail. This is still wet. But I think instead what I'm going to do is take a Copic multi-liner. This is a 0.5. And basically just draw that image back in. So I'm going to trace over his wings. Okay, and then we have some little legs coming down here. Okay, I think this is what he's supposed to look like. Nope, this is way too small here. Darken that up. Okay, a little better. Got his little arms over here gathering pollen with his mouth. I don't know. I'm not a bee. Okay, so here is the stamped image card from Blue Knight Rubber Stamps, and then here is my little guy. What do you think? And then we want to finish this off. Thought I had a card front ready. Hold on. Okay, sorry about that. I'm back. All right, so I do have my card front, and then I cut this down to 4 by 3 3/4. So I want to line it in this black, which is going to be a little larger, so 4 1/8. And then 3 7/8. So we're going to border it in that. Yes. And then I wanted this piece of yellow to make it pop, and I wanted this to be 5.5 by 4 1/4. Okay, now we can start putting this together, hopefully without getting any more paint all over everything. want to use a lot of glue on this watercolor piece because it's a little warped, obviously, which happens. Nice little border, and I'm going to put a heavy block on that and let that set to dry. And then I have this little piece of wood grain paper that I'm going to put down. Just to layer it up. And then what I want to do is I have this ribbon from the Ribbon Place on Etsy. It's called the Ribbon Place on Etsy. It's also known as Deco Fun Bow Maker. And they sent us, oh crap, this beautiful ribbon, which I just stuck in the yellow paint. Okay, comes right off, thank goodness. But I wanted to use some of this gold ribbon because I think it is super pretty. And I was thinking about just putting, should I do one? It's so pretty. I almost want to do like 3 of them so they really stand out. I think I'm going to do 3 of them because they really stand out and they're really pretty. Let me cut that little paint edge off of there. Whoops. This is what happens when I leave the paint. Don't clean it up. So I should have put it on a palette. So I want them to be about yay big. So this is about 3 inches. So I'm going to cut 3 of these. Now, to fasten my ribbon, I just like to use glue dots. Regular craft glue dots. Whatever you have. I gotta tell you guys, I bought a box of these years and years and years ago, and it was like assorted sizes. I'm still going through the glue dots. I have never had to refill and buy more glue dots. So then what will happen is we will have our image here, and then we will have these little ribbons coming out. Oh my gosh, that is so cute. Now, do I want to put it over or under? Yeah, I'm going to put it under. Okay. So, and I should start with the middle. And that's all I do is just fold the ribbon over like a little V. And just put it down, and then we will glue it down more in a minute. One up here. Down here. These glue dots hold instantly, and they are very strong. Okay, and now we're going to take, actually you could probably switch to mini glue dots, but since I already have these out, so now I have this beautiful metallic ribbon, and this will go right over it. So pretty. I'm going to use glue dots to attach this to. Okay, so now we have this watercolored cutesy little bee on the sunflower. We have that beautiful wood and ribbon accent. Oh, I really love how this came together. And I normally don't do, you know, like pizzazz on my cards, but I think this is so cute with the ribbon. The gold really plays well off of the wood and the yellow in the card. So there we go. So thanks for watching, guys. I will link all the supplies down below. Again, this is sponsored by Blue Night Rubber Stamps and their new release. This one's called Honeybee and the Sunflower. I will link the Arteza watercolor paints and watercolor paper for you. Again, the ink that I used was the VersaFine Nocturne Clair ink with the Blue Night Rubber Hands magnetic handle. If you've never tried that, it is so worth it. I also recommend buying a couple of the extra metallic metal plates so you can add them to your other ink pads, but it really does give you something to grip onto so that you don't fumble with your ink pad. And then again, the ribbon is from Deco Fun Ribbon, also known as the Ribbon Place, and that's on Etsy. If you want to get their ribbons, are very high quality, very soft ribbon, and you'll be seeing me use these in a couple of cards, guys, but I've already used them on some other projects, and I'm not a big ribbon person. This is very, very nice ribbon. So check them out as well. If you have any questions, post them down below. Any comments? I read all my comments. I appreciate you guys. Thanks for watching and keep on stamping. Bye-bye.